What's so funny? Lessons from Canada's Leacock Medal for Humour Writing. Lesson number 10. Why travel writers need a place to call home. This is a review of the 1956 Leacock Medal winner, Shall We Join the Ladies? By Eric Nicol. I often likened Eric Nicol's newspaper columns to a box of chocolates. When I lived in Lotus Land and I read the Vancouver Province every day, his sense of humor always broke up the day and brightened it like a treat. But like candies, a box of them can be a bit much if you devour them without pause. And this applies to a lot of humor writing. A book of Canadian humor, an anthology published in the 1950s, even defines comic relief as the interspersion of tragic scenes which will enable the audience to endure the comedy. That book also cautions readers against the rapid consumption of humor. And I guess the same warning could be applied to the 1956 Leacock Medal winner by Eric Nicol. So, I usually try to read Nicol's books in a number of short sessions when they are collections of columns. But because my book was to finish almost 70 books in 1 year, I broke my rule when I was reading this one, and I pushed right through it. Of the 3 Leacock Medal winning books written by Nicol, 2 of them wrap themselves around international travel. The first book tells of his time as a student in Paris, and the third book presents tips for globetrotters. But this winner, in the middle, Shall We Join the Ladies?, strings disconnected stories together in a compilation that seems at times like that overwhelming box of sweets. His subjects run from sex changes, that's behind the title of the book, to how to stay warm. He says, women are wonderful, money is more so, but there's really nothing like central heating. And he also says, I put on so many socks, people thought I had elephantitis. The humor helped me along, and I'm glad I read the book in one burst, because at the end, I recognized a unifying theme after all. It was travel, once again. I might not have seen this travel angle without consuming the collection in a rush for 2 reasons. First, many of the stories are detached from any real sense of place. They celebrate routine tasks like buying shoes or minor adventures like riding a bike. The other reason that this probably would not strike you as travel writing at first comes from its homage to staying home. As evident in all of his Leacock Medal books, home for Nicol was and always would be Vancouver, British Columbia. And he realized this is where he always wants to be, and where he likes to work, and where he likes to write his stories. He says in one spot, I think I'll spend most of my holiday at a quiet little place I know, near the beach, tennis courts, golf course, yet handy to the city, and serving first-rate victuals. You guessed it. It all culminates in the final chapter, which sets out his reasons for staying in British Columbia, when so many other people apparently were suggesting that professional success can only be achieved abroad, or at the very least in eastern Canada. Nicol says, for a writer, such a plan, staying in BC, indicates a sorry lack of ambition. But he argues that his hometown is destined to be great, and he wants to be part of it. And I understand that for sure. At the same time, he wants to see other countries, even though his trips can never be any more than the yo-yo that flies forth from the hand for the joy of whizzing straight back home. He hoped to see the world in a series of zips out and zips back, so that the graph of his voyages would look like a lie detector with hiccups. And I understand that too. So, like Nicol's 2 other medal winners, Shall We Join the Ladies really tells about travel. In order to travel, you have to be leaving some place behind. Some place that gives you a basis to evaluate the new places, and somewhere to which to address your observations. You can't say you are traveling, really, unless you have someplace else to call home. Nicol seemed to know that better than most people, and even many travel writers. This idea made the box that holds his treats together, but I only saw it after all the chocolates were finished. Now here's a writing exercise inspired by Shall We Join the Ladies? Explain why you refused a free trip around the world to stay at home in Hamilton, Ontario.